Before we get into this story, I need you to understand something. If you've ever worked a night shift, completely alone, you know that feeling. That creeping sense that someone's watching you. That you're not as alone as you think you are. This isn't just paranoia talking. This actually happened to me last summer. And it's the reason I quit the easiest job I ever had. Pause 2 seconds. If you're listening to this late at night, alone, you might want some company. Trust me on this one. My name is Alex, and in the summer of 2023, I was 22 years old and desperately looking for a job that would work with my college schedule. I was going into my senior year, and between classes and studying, I needed something flexible that paid decent money. That's when I saw the posting for overnight cashier at a 24-hour gas station about 15 minutes outside of town. The job was simple. 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. 4 nights a week. Stock shelves, help the occasional customer clean, and basically just keep the place running. The pay was actually pretty good, $18 an hour, which was way more than any other entry-level job I could find. The location was a bit isolated. The gas station sat at the intersection of 2 rural highways, surrounded by empty fields and a small patch of woods. During the day, it got decent traffic from people passing through, but at night, the manager told me I'd be lucky to see 10 customers in an 8-hour shift. Perfect, I thought. I could study, get paid to basically do homework, and still have my days free for classes. Subtle bass note for shadowing. I started on a Tuesday night. The evening shift guy, Marcus, was supposed to train me, but he seemed really eager to leave. He rushed through the basics, how to use the register, where the cleaning supplies were, how to check the security cameras, and how to handle the rare customer who'd come in. Listen, Marcus said as he was grabbing his stuff to leave. The nights can get weird out here. You're going to hear things, see things. It's just because it's quiet and dark and your brain starts playing tricks on you. Don't freak out, okay? I laughed it off. What, is the place haunted or something? Marcus didn't laugh. He just looked at me for a long moment, then said, just stay inside. Don't go out to check on things unless you absolutely have to. And if something feels wrong, trust that feeling. Before I could ask what he meant, he was gone. His car peeled out of the parking lot faster than necessary. I shook off the weird vibe and settled in behind the counter. The store was bright fluorescent lights everywhere, illuminating every corner. Outside the big windows, darkness pressed in like a wall. I couldn't see more than a few feet past the gas pumps before everything faded to black. The first few hours were uneventful. I helped maybe 3 customers total. A trucker getting coffee, a woman buying cigarettes, a guy filling up his tank and grabbing some snacks. Between customers, I studied for my psychology exam and scrolled through my phone. Around 2 a.m., I noticed the door chime go off. You know, that electronic beep that sounds when someone walks in. I looked up from my textbook, but nobody was there. The door was closed. The parking lot was empty. Weird, but I figured it was just a glitch. Old equipment, probably. 15 minutes later, it happened again. Beep. I looked up. Nothing. This time I got up and walked around the store, checking the aisles. Nobody. I tested the door sensor, walking in and out a few times. It worked fine. I went back to studying, trying to ignore the uneasy feeling creeping up my spine. Tension music begins. At 2:47 a.m. I remember the exact time because I glanced at my phone when it happened. I saw movement outside. Just a shadow passing by the window. Like someone walking by. I looked up quickly. Nothing there, but I'd definitely seen it. A dark shape, roughly person-sized, moving past the glass. I stood up and walked to the window, pressing my face against it to look outside. The parking lot was completely empty. No cars except mine, parked off to the side. The lights above the gas pumps created these circles of harsh white light, but between them were pockets of deep shadow. I stared out into the darkness for a full minute, waiting for my eyes to adjust, looking for any sign of movement. Nothing. I told myself it was just a trick of the light, reflections, whatever. But when I walked back to the counter, I couldn't shake the feeling that something had been out there, and worse, that it had been looking in at me. The rest of that first night passed without incident. When my shift ended at 7 a.m. and the morning guy came in to relieve me, I'd almost convinced myself that Marcus's weird warning had just gotten into my head. Music quiets, false sense of relief. Night 2 started normally enough. Different customers, same routine. I'd brought more homework to keep myself busy. But around 1 a.m. I noticed something on the security monitor. The gas station had 4 cameras, one covering each side of the building. The monitor behind the counter showed a split screen of all 4 feeds. I'd been half watching them all night, mostly out of boredom. That's when I saw it. Camera 3, which faced the back of the building near the dumpsters, showed a figure standing at the edge of the frame, just standing there perfectly still facing the camera. My blood went cold. I looked up at the back door. It was locked, like it should be. I couldn't see outside from where I was standing. I looked back at the monitor. The figure was still there. I grabbed my phone and used the flashlight to look out the back window. I couldn't see much, but I definitely couldn't see anyone standing where the camera showed them. When I looked back at the monitor, the figure was gone. Sudden bass, drop, fear escalates. My hands were shaking now. I pulled out my phone and called the manager, Tom. It rang 4 times before he answered, sounding groggy. Tom, hey, it's Alex. Sorry to wake you, but something weird is happening with the cameras. The cameras always glitch, he interrupted. Old system. Don't worry about it. But I saw someone. Kid, there's nobody out there. It's 2 in the morning in the middle of nowhere. You're probably just seeing shadows or reflections. The cameras pick up all kinds of weird shit. Just ignore it and focus on your job. Okay? He hung up before I could respond. I spent the rest of that shift constantly checking the monitors and looking out the windows. Every shadow seemed to move. Every sound made me jump. When 7 a.m. finally came, I practically ran to my car. Ominous drone note. I seriously considered quitting, but I needed the money, and in the daylight, the whole thing seemed ridiculous. Shadows and glitches. That's all it was. So I came back for night 3. This time, I saw it with my own eyes. It was around 3:15 a.m. I was restocking the cooler in the back when I heard the door chime. I walked back to the counter, expecting to see a customer. Nobody was there, but through the window I could see someone standing at gas pump number 3. They were just standing there, not pumping gas, not doing anything, just standing perfectly still, facing the store. I couldn't make out any details. They looked like a dark silhouette against the even darker background. I watched them for maybe 30 seconds, waiting for them to move or do something. They didn't. Finally, I called out, "Hello? Store's open if you need anything." No response. No movement. I grabbed the phone to call the police, and when I looked back up, they were gone. Not walking away. Not getting in a car. Just gone. Sharp string, stab, major escalation. I checked the security footage. The camera that covered the pumps showed nothing. Just an empty lot. No person, no shadow, nothing. But I had seen them. I know I did. That's when I started to understand what Marcus meant. What I was seeing wasn't matching what the cameras were recording, which meant either the cameras were broken or what I was seeing wasn't normal. I called Tom again. This time I was more forceful. "I'm seeing someone outside multiple times, but they're not showing up on the cameras. Something is seriously wrong here." Tom sighed. "Look, Alex, I'm going to level with you. We've had reports from other night shift workers. People see things at that location. We don't know why. Maybe it's the isolation. Maybe it's something about the building's location. But nothing has ever actually happened. No one's ever been hurt. So you can either tough it out for the paycheck, or you can quit. Your choice. Have people quit because of this?" Marcus lasted 3 months, Tom said. The guy before him made it 2 weeks. Before that, we had a woman who lasted 1 shift. "Why didn't you tell me this before hiring me? Would you have taken the job?" He had a point. "1 more week," I told him. "I'll finish this week, then I'm done." "That's fair," Tom said, and hung up. Dark, heavy music. Night 4 was when things escalated. I'd been jumpy all night, constantly checking the windows and cameras. Around 2:30 a.m., a car actually pulled up, a real customer. A huge relief. Human interaction. Normalcy. It was a middle-aged woman. She came in, bought some coffee and aspirin, and started chatting with me while I rang her up. "You work here alone?" she asked, glancing around the empty store. "Yeah, graveyard shift." "That's brave. I could never work nights like this. Too creepy." I forced a laugh. "It's not so bad." She looked past me out the back window and her expression changed. Is someone else working tonight? I thought you said you were alone. I felt ice in my veins. I am alone. Why? There's someone standing outside the back door. I can see them through the window. Silence, then slow, haunting strings. I turned slowly. Through the back window I could see it. A dark figure pressed against the glass, looking in. But here's the thing, I could see through it. Like it was translucent, not quite solid. The woman saw my face. Oh my God, you see it too. We both stood there, frozen, staring at this impossible thing. Then it moved. Not walking, it just shifted position instantly, like a video game glitch. One moment at the back door, the next moment at the side window. The woman dropped her coffee cup. It shattered on the floor. I'm calling the police, I said, grabbing my phone. But when I looked up again, it was at the front window now, right outside the glass, close enough that I should have been able to see details. A face, clothes, something. But there was nothing to see, just a human-shaped absence of light. The woman ran, just bolted out the door, got in her car, and peeled out of the parking lot. I stood there behind the counter, phone in my shaking hand, watching this thing watch me. It raised what should have been an arm and pressed it against the glass. The window fogged where it touched, like breath on cold glass. Then it wrote something in the condensation. 2 words. I see you. Music fades to almost silence. I ran to the back office and locked myself in. I called 911. I called Tom. I called my dad. Everyone told me to stay inside, stay calm, help was coming. The police showed up 20 minutes later. They searched the entire property. Nothing. No one. No footprints. No signs of anyone having been there. The windows were clean. No condensation. No message. They checked the security footage. The cameras showed nothing but an empty parking lot all night. The only evidence that anything had happened was the woman's dropped coffee cup, still on the floor in a puddle of brown liquid. One of the cops asked if I'd been drinking or using drugs. I hadn't, but I could tell they didn't believe me. Tom showed up around 5 a.m. He looked exhausted. You're the 4th person to see it, he said quietly. The thing at the windows, what the hell is it? I don't know. I've owned this station for 8 years. Whatever it is, it was here before me. It only shows up at night. Only to people working alone, and it's getting bolder. Bolder? It used to just watch from a distance. Then it started showing up on cameras, then people could see it with their own eyes. Now it's interacting, leaving messages. You need to close this location, I said. I can't afford to. This place keeps the lights on for my other 2 stations. If I close it, I lose everything. Then hire a second person for nights. I'm not doing this alone anymore. Tom nodded. I'll see what I can do. Long pause, 3 seconds. That was my last shift. I came in the next week to collect my final paycheck. Tom told me he'd hired 2 people for overnight. They'd work together, watch each other's backs. 3 nights later, both of them quit. Tom closed the station a month after that. He told me he couldn't keep staff, couldn't afford the insurance liability, couldn't sleep knowing what was out there. The building sits empty now, boarded up, for sale. I drive past it sometimes on my way to my new job, a nice, safe day shift position at a bookstore. Even abandoned, even in broad daylight, that gas station gives me chills. But here's what really haunts me. Sometimes, late at night, I get texts from an unknown number. They never say much. Usually just, I still see you. I've changed my number 3 times. The texts always find me. And every now and then when I'm alone in my apartment late at night, I see it, just for a second. A dark shape in my peripheral vision, standing at my window, watching. The thing from the gas station followed me home, and I don't think it's ever going to leave. Long pause, 3 seconds of complete silence. Distant door chime sound effect fade out.